VolQuest's North days until football time in Tennessee. Brent Hubbs, good morning.
Very good, Mark. Very good. And good morning to you, VolQuest's North, with an unbelievable catch.
Yes.
Against South Carolina for the win. That was the highlight for VolQuest's North. You could also go on Jonathan Crompton Day today.
That's right.
So there's a lot. Jabril Wilson Day today from City College. A lot of good eights out there for Tennessee. And obviously Tennessee's looking for some guys to show up big for them next Saturday.
They absolutely are. That was 2014. Pink gloves, Justin Worley throwing it to him. And the last year as well, Brent, the Tennessee was Adidas, if I'm not mistaken, with VolQuest's North that game.
Yeah, and a huge win for the program as they knocked off South Carolina on a 19-yard Michael Pilardi place kick.
Legendary.
That's not even worthy of being called a field goal. It's just a place kick when it's 19 yards, even though it was the game winner, right?
That's right. Absolutely. VolQuest's Brent Hubbs with us this morning. So, Brent, you were the first to report Joey Aguilar, QB1. Obviously, that's been confirmed and discussed by Josh Heupel and Tennessee staff as they get ready for Syracuse. We talked about this earlier this week at the event we did at the Franklin Theater. Just what separated Joey for Josh and for this staff from the other quarterbacks? And do you think we see more tempo and more kind of prototypical Josh Heupel offense with him at the helm?
I do think they want to go fast, and I think that they are trying to go back with the pacing that Tennessee fans have become more accustomed to seeing under Josh Heupel. Now, there's some limitations on that rules-wise now when, someone goes out of bounds on your sideline, they want to hold the ball up and all these types of things. So there's still some things you have to work around, but you can go faster, I think, than Tennessee has gone the last two seasons. So Tennessee would like to get back to that. As for what separated Joey Aguilar for the job, it was his growth from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 in this offense. He was not terrible in scrimmage 1, but he did not separate himself. I think in scrimmage 2, he did. And the way he operated the offense, the pace that he played with, the pace that he got the offense going at, the comfort level he had, and just the operation of getting the call, getting to the line, getting going, not having, missed calls and different things like that, and then executing some plays vertically down the field. I think when they walked out of that scrimmage last Friday, a week ago today, everybody kind of looked at everybody and went, yeah, that's the guy. And he was – The thought was he would always be the guy because of his experience, but the question was, could that experience show up in this offense? And I think it showed up much more in scrimmage 2 than it did in scrimmage 1.
Hey, Brent, how you doing, man? It's Kevin Dyson, bro. How you doing?
Hey, man. How are you? I'm doing well, thank you.
Doing well, thank you. Hey, so we have a lot of local talent that is on this roster. George McIntyre, Ethan Hutley, they come to mind. Edwin Spillman, I'm going to give his name because he was one of my students when I was a middle school principal. But is one of these guys we can expect to have an impact going into this year?
Oh, absolutely. I think Edwin Spillman's going to play a ton, whether he starts or he doesn't start. Do you take credit for him being a great kid? Because he's one of the best kids you've ever dealt with. He is a terrific, terrific young man. It has been since he was a recruited player. This guy is the happiest guy in the world. He really is.
Yeah.
But he's intense on the football field. He's going to play a lot. And not on just on special teams. He's going to play a lot in this defense. He will be on the field early in Atlanta. Ethan Utley is certainly a name I think Tennessee fans should get very comfortable with. And Austin Price had a great story on Ethan and his family yesterday on VolQuest. If you haven't read it, shameless plug, but it is worth the read just to understand kind of the why of Ethan Utley and why he plays and what matters to him. With an injury to Davin Hobbs, who's Tennessee's third defensive tackle, Hobbs is going to miss a couple of weeks at least, maybe more. Ethan Utley is going to ascend up that depth chart. He may very well be their third tackle in the rotation come next week at Syracuse. He has to grow up in a hurry because that's a tall ask for a freshman. I know he arrived at midterm, but for a freshman to be in the regular rotation at defensive tackle at this level of football from high school is a heck of a transition. But he had a great spring, and he really followed it up with a fantastic summer, gaining weight, getting stronger. He's done really well this camp with Rodney Garner coaching him as a defensive tackle. Certainly going to know him. Caleb Beasley is going to play. You're going to know that name. He will be in the rotation at safety, if not a starter. So the mid-state will certainly be well represented on Tennessee's roster and will be a factor next Saturday when Tennessee's in Atlanta taking on Syracuse.
Before we get into more personnel stuff, what game do you kind of have circled for the Vols this year? That's kind of that game that could be an impact for the catalyst for the rest of the season. Like if they lose this game or win this game, it can really make an impact on how the season goes.
Well, I mean, I think the first one's always important, and I think a lot of people have assumed that Tennessee is going to win big over Syracuse because Syracuse lost so much. But listen, you're going into that game with 4 new offensive linemen, a new quarterback, a new set of receivers. You're replacing the offensive player of the year in Dylan Sampson. You're down 2 NFL draft picks on the defensive line, and your All-American corner is not back from a torn ACL. So it's not like you're without question. Now, I think Syracuse probably has more questions, but Syracuse drew that great Friday night matchup seemingly a lot last year on TV for whatever reason in the ACC TV package. I watched them play 3 or 4 times last year. Now, Kyle McCord was really good for them at quarterback, and he's gone. But the one thing I can say about Fran Brown's team up there, they play really hard, and Tennessee better strap it up. But I think outside of that, I think you look at what's Mississippi State going to be when you get down there? How much better are they in year 2? Is that a possible hiccup game? Because you look, Josh Heupel has had those hiccup games, right? I mean, 22, he loses at South Carolina. Last year, loses at Arkansas. I don't think Mississippi State's ready in year 2 there, but how much better will they be? Tennessee's been awful good at home, but Oklahoma is an unknown. A lot of people think Oklahoma's going to make a big jump because they brought in a quarterback and offensive coordinator from Washington State that know each other very well. How much better will they be offensively? Because they were not very good offensively last year. So I think, Kevin, to answer your question, which I have not done, there's a bunch of those question marks because Tennessee, you're trying to feel out what Tennessee is going to be and how much do they improve week to week this season with so many young guys getting their first taste of college football.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest, our guest this morning on Ramon and Will. Brent, with Joey at quarterback, how much separation do you think there is right now between him and Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre in that are we going to see another Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker situation play out where Joe comes in later, struggles early? I know it was injury forced a little bit, but Hendon ends up taking that job. I know a lot of fans have kind of drawn parallels there. Do you see this as a similar situation, or do you see Joey with pretty sizable separation against those other two?
I think he has sizable separation, or you think he has sizable separation because he's played.
Right.
Has experience. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's the active leader, I guess, in FBS and total offense, and a guy who's never played in college football in George McIntyre, and another guy who's played in 3 games, maybe 4 games, and has thrown 6 career passes. There is a wide gap between experience and inexperience with those quarterbacks. So I think because of that, Joey's got a longer leash. I don't think Josh Heupel wants to play quarterback roulette. I don't think he wants to go and get into a multiple quarterback deal. But if Joey's not playing well or he's, turning the ball over and doesn't give you a chance to be successful, I mean, I think they have enough confidence in those other 2 quarterbacks to give them a shot if they're just struggling mightily to move the ball or somebody's turning it over or playing really poorly. But I think the experience factor creates a pretty good divide between those 3 quarterbacks if Joey can manage this offense the way they feel like he can coming out of this last scrimmage.
Brent, I know it is the million-dollar question on defense right now with Boo Carter in a weekly feature I feel like we're doing with you when we talk every Friday. At this point, how much do you expect to see him on the field on defense against Syracuse?
Well, I don't know for sure. I think it's unfair to say he's not going to play defense against Syracuse. I mean, I think he'll be there's a real chance he'll be in a rotation to play out there at star. How much does he play? I don't know. I mean, part of that depends on, does Boo do everything he needs to do every day next week? But if he continues on the track that he's continuing on, I think he is working himself into a situation that he will be in a rotation with Jalen McMurray at star. Now, what that rotation looks like in terms of percentage of snaps and that type of thing, I don't know. But if he stays on the track he's on right now, I think you'll probably see him play some defense. But again, anything can happen between now and next week.
You mentioned there's a lot of turnover at that receiver room. I'm a wide receiver, I love him. Who's a person, a receiver Vol fans should keep their eyes on going forward?
Well, I think everybody knows who Mike Matthews is, because he was talked about, every week. Is this the week he's going to play more, this, that, and the other? I think Mike has done well. I think Mike will end up being the leader of that receiver room when it's done. I think the question is, where are they in the slot receiver spot? Is Braylon Staley healthy? He's been battling a hamstring. Because in this offense, the slot receiver has a chance to be the most productive guy because of the different things they do. If they're running their true, 3 receiver sets, that is kind of the foundation of what they do offensively. So I think Braylon Staley is a name that people sort of know but don't know a whole lot. I think he can certainly emerge as a guy who's a high-volume catch guy. I think Matthews could be that vertical play guy that you're looking for. And I'm going to tell you, Kevin, I really like these 2 freshmen. The question is, are they ready? And that's Radarius Jackson, who's an in-state kid from Memphis, and Travis Smith, to play his first college football game. Both of those guys have gotten an enormous amount of reps this preseason because of the injuries that they've had with, Chris Brazzell, who's a returning player. Matthew's been a little bit limited. So Radarius Jackson and Travis Smith have gotten a ton of work. How much has that accelerated their impact on this team in the passing game is something we'll be watching for next week for sure.
VolQuest's Brent Hubbs, our guest this morning on Ramon and Will, 8 days away from Tennessee and Syracuse. Brent, as you look ahead to Syracuse a little bit, I know the quarterback competition wrapping up there as well. A lot of new faces that you mentioned. They lose their top receiver as well to Penn State. Where can this Syracuse team, in your mind, as you just take a look at the scouting report for the first time 8 days away, hurt Tennessee next week?
Well, I think when you look at it on paper, talent, Tennessee's a better team. And that's why Tennessee will be, I think, a double-digit favorite when this thing gets settled in next week. I think where they can hurt Tennessee is if they're opportunistic. First games are always scary. You're going to turn it over. You're going to have a bunch of penalties. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot. How are you going to handle adversity for the first time? I think Syracuse has the same questions Tennessee has. Can Syracuse limit Tennessee in the red zone? I think the red zone offense for this Tennessee team is the stat to watch for the entire season if Tennessee is going to get back to what fans want them to be from an offensive juggernaut standpoint. So I think that if they can be opportunistic defensively, create some turnovers, some short fields for themselves, if they can turn this thing into a ball game and then you're into a dogfight, they'll be physical. Fran Brown will make sure that his Syracuse team is physical. Now, will they be physical enough? Tennessee should win this game. But again, first game with new quarterback and new faces, how good are you? How cohesive are you? How clean do you play football? That's always your concern in week 1 of any football games. How clean are you going to play?
Brent, the SEC makes the announcement yesterday, at long last, our national nightmare is over. We finally get the 9-game schedule. It's going to start very quickly next year. What is your gut feeling on that third protected rival for Tennessee? Because we know Alabama is going to be one. We assume Vanderbilt's going to be the other. Do you think they protect the history of the Kentucky rivalry or go with more the modern SEC East rival in Florida as that third team?
Well, if it's Kentucky, Josh Heupel should run to Birmingham and kiss somebody on the mouth, right? Because it's like, hey, that's a good. That's you would take those 3 and run as your 3 permanents. What are they going to do with Florida and LSU? Florida doesn't want to play LSU every year. LSU doesn't want to play Florida every year. You talk about it being a nightmare for fans to be over. The nightmare is beginning for coaches. Because now you've got 9 conference games and you've got to play a Power 4 team outside of the 9-game conference schedule, which is great for viewership. It's not great for coaching your football team, which is why many were against the 9-game schedule. I think the challenge for the SEC, because you're going to make somebody mad, how do you strike containing all of your rivalries that you want to contain and protect them and keep competitive balance in the league. And I don't know how you do that because you're not going to do that to make everybody happy. So what does that look like? Is this, if Tennessee were to get South Carolina, for example, is that really how much different is that than playing Kentucky? You got to just protect the Kentucky game, right? But if it's going to be Florida, so Florida gets Tennessee, Georgia, and who? Auburn's going to get Georgia, Alabama, and who? There's going to be somebody unhappy because they're going to feel like they got the shaft on this deal because they're going to be playing two, quote, traditional difficult teams, and they're going to look at somebody else and say, well, they're only playing one. And so you're not going to make everybody happy when you do three of these. So we'll see. I think that's going to be a great debate, that coaches will be much more public in their disapproval about this than they ever were the 8 or 9 game debate, when the coaches always just sort of bowed out of it and said, well, whatever is done is good. Whatever's done, deep down they're going, please don't play 9 games. But here we are. We're at 9 games.
It is great for sports talk radio and writers. It is awful for coaches and people who are actually in the trenches of it. No doubt about it. VolQuest's Brent Hubbs joins us Fridays at 7:20 here on the show. The next time we talk with him, it will be game day eve for Tennessee at last. Looking forward to it, Brent. Thanks so much for the time, as always.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one, man.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest joining us here this morning, previewing Tennessee and Syracuse. And as always, Brent Hubbs brought to you by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. I did just see that the legend of the game for Syracuse in Atlanta, of course, is our good friend Keith Bullock next week.
KB, that's why he told me he's leaving town. That's where he's going.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.